Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. If you're on this part of the pillars, I'm going to skip the introduction. You already know I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. You already know I'm a suicide survivor. You already know I got a destructive, toxic, horrible brain and the trauma to kind of go along with the experience. And if you think it's full of shit or it's bullshit or you think I like doing this is fun for me. It's I wouldn't say it's fun. It almost feels like a purpose, and that's important to find your purpose. So if this is going to help me fulfill my purpose and give me something to help contribute to the world around me, then I welcome any criticism you may have. Believe me, you will not be meaner to me than I have been to me, and I have a feeling there's a lot of people who can relate to that. With that, the next pillar is no excuses, just results. This is not permission for you to be uh, cheap or take shortcuts in life or to excuse bad behavior. No excuses, just results means whatever excuse you think you have for why you cannot get to where you have to go or fulfill the responsibilities that you may have doesn't matter. The only thing that matters are the results. And there will always be a result. There will be a result of your laziness. There will be a result of your consistency. There will be a result of your excuses. And there will be an exalt. There will be a result of your kindness. There's always going to be a result. You get to choose what it's going to be. And there's something that really kind of hangs out with me when I get to this part of this pillar specifically. It ties into people wanting to blame, fault. And fault for me only serves a purpose while I'm processing something. So, in the experience of my life, my alcoholic mother and my father who disappeared when I was 3, was to blame for a lot of the reasons why I behaved. The fact that I was sexually assaulted as a child was a reason for me, was the fault, right? That's why I got to turn to drugs and alcohol, because I did not want to face that part of my life. The consistent abandonment and trauma issues I've had to live with contributed to the reason why I became uncomfortable with who I am, not being able to live with myself. And so all of those were important pieces for me when I got to processing, right? So when I held on to those things as resentments, I took them personally. I took the fact that, I had no idea what's going on in a grown man in a relationship with my mother personally as to why he did not contact me as much as I contacted him. I would use the excuse of, well, he could always call me. It never in my mind came up that maybe he was told not to call me. It never crossed my mind that him trying to reach me felt like an impossible task because of the people he had in his life, my mother. It never came across to me in a way that my mother was being the toxic person that she was being in addiction, in all of the things I'm very familiar with now, that she could have said some of these things not knowing it when she was blacked out. So to her, she's not at fault. She's blaming him for not being there while he was told not to be there. So in my mind, I could not understand any of this as a child, and I wasn't supposed to, and a lot of children are not supposed to. But it was my dad's fault for not being there. It was my mom's fault for, uh, being so messed up that someone was able to take advantage of me. So these things as faults or these excuses why I was the way that I was served its only purpose in my life for me to be able to process them. Now, through therapy, through all kinds of stuff, higher power, through letting go, through sharing, I've been able to process these things into a point where they no longer serve me. It doesn't matter who's at fault. It doesn't matter who is to blame, because now that I have processed these things that have happened to me and accepted the fact that I love my life, and because of these things, they contribute to how strong I can be for the people around me, that is my result. Before, my result was toxicity and self destruction. With the help of others and understanding that I don't know anything and I need help, being able to ask for help, that pillar of results switched from a toxicity to almost a superpower. That is the power of results. Not holding on to these excuses. I can hold on to all the excuses in the world as to why I want to die. I want to kill myself. Or I can process these things. I can surrender. And for me, surrendering was always about this fight, this internal fight that I had with myself to not be okay with myself. When that wasn't it, someone in the AA room shared that surrender is simply joining the winning side. And when someone told me that, and it wasn't a direct thing that they told me, it was a share, things shifted for me. I realized I was fighting a war of one against one, and I was losing. I was losing a war against myself. I felt so dumb to understand that I was just not joining the winning side. And what it meant to join the winning side came at a cost. And that cost was my excuses, the excuses for my toxic behavior. That was the price. I had to come to terms with all of those things, process them, bring them up to people who could help me. And then they had no value in my life. But the only value they had was toxic, which now loops back to me losing the war with myself. You can't drink poison just because you're thirsty. And that's what I was doing. I kept myself sick so I could be the victim in the war between myself. That's the power of no excuses, just results. I have to look at the results. The results of today for me are I learned how to be patient in a halfway house full of men who absolutely knew nothing about patience. I learned how to be patient with who I am and understanding that what I want in life, the reason why I came back to Arizona is to have a relationship with my children. My patience is in the fact that I cannot rush them to engage with me. I can have an open door. I can be completely transparent in who I am and why I'm back. But there are other people involved. And they feel a certain way about me being gone the past 3 years, more than that. And their feelings are valid. Their feelings are 100% fueled by fear and anger, which I hope doesn't manifest them into be toxic men. But that's why I'm back. And I have to understand that it's going to take time. I do not, I cannot force them to be on my schedule. And that's my lesson. No excuses, just results is a way for me to ask God, my higher power, what is my lesson? What is my lesson here? Every day when something bad happens to me or when I think it's bad, because looking back, most of the bad things in my life turned into amazing, beautiful things. What is my lesson is absolutely the most important question I've ever asked myself. And my lessons are in the results. I find all of my lessons in the results of what's happened. No excuses. If I want something, I have to understand that A, if it's not within my power, I have to ask for it. And then I have to be patient. And I have to be ready. I have to be ready for when the opportunity strikes up here. I have to be ready up here. Because I won't know how to do it. I won't be educated. I have to be willing to learn. Those are my results. No excuses, just results. So I hope you can find some value in this pillar, because this one is something that stops me from feeling bad for myself. It stops me from victimizing myself. It stops the pity parties that I've had a million of. And that's part of why I have to stop being, so hard on myself, because I have to look at the results and ask what's the lesson. So thank you for hanging out, and I will see you on the next one. Lesson number 5.